Welcome, everybody, to the Monday, May 11th Selectmen's meeting. Some introductions. I'll start with Kelly Bigos, our recording secretary. Tom Wooden, our town manager. We have new selectmen, Tricia Warren, and Wendy Wolf, myself, Denise Griffin, Bill Hamblin, and Russ Hoffman. So, welcome. Thanks, Tricia. Great, glad you're here. Nice to see the seat filled. Okay, we'll move on to town manager announcements. Tom?
Thank you. I contacted Danielle Betts today. As you can see, she's on the agenda under old business. She obviously isn't going to make it here for this evening, but she will be at one of the June meetings. Just to let you know, she hasn't selected which one yet. I just wanted to let you know before we get too deep into the meeting that she won't be here this evening.
Okay.
There's a Public Works job posting that comes down this Friday to fill the final position in Public Works. The request for proposals for the piling replacement at the Fish Pier is due the following Friday, the 22nd. And the county bill is going up $27,100. You probably saw an email to that effect this afternoon. That's the only thing I have right off for announcements.
Yes, questions?
Yeah, I just, the Maine Municipal HR workshop, I'm just curious who signed up to go to that? The
No
June
one.
16th? No one?
No.
I thought we had talked about you and the new Public Works Director.
We're not going to that one, no, that's not one we're going to. We do have training next week, we have another 3 days of training. That's the Public Works Supervisory training. We've already had 3 days.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And Tom passed out the Economic Development Agreement draft, which I emailed to y'all this morning. You may not have time to review it, but maybe between tomorrow and the next meeting, you can review it for any other typos, whatever, because we're very close to now, I think, to signing it, which is tremendous.
And Denise, this has the changes that we talked about last Wednesday incorporated?
That was my intent. That's why I'd like for you to review it, because my intent was to do that, and I initially thought I had made them all, and then I must not have saved every single one, so I went through it again this morning, and I incorporated, I hope, all the changes, but sometimes it's easier to edit other people's work, so.
Okay.
Tom?
Yes.
Under our new bylaws that we passed at town meeting, we are not approving the patrolman, but it might be worthwhile announcing that so that it gets into the public record.
I have that here. I think I do here, yes. Back on May 4th, Chief Hosh proposed moving Officer Julian Hauser, who's been in training with us for several months now, moving him into one of the 2 full-time positions that will be opening up at the end of this month. We have one position that's Nick Upham's, where he's not going forward to take the full-time position, and Fred Hutchins is retiring. So I concur with Bob. Julian seems to be a good guy, doing a good job, and I think he'd be a good addition full-time for the police department.
We welcome him aboard.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's great to see Booth Bay Region High School grad
Yes. Yeah.
taking on that position. So good for Julian, and we wish him well and good luck. So great. And just for maybe the next meeting, Tom, the investment policy. You did send out some other, you sent out another draft, so I think that's something else that we might all want to review within the next 2 weeks, and then consider bringing that to a vote at the next meeting.
Okay. It's fine, great.
Anybody have any comments?
Sure.
There's no rush. I was ready to do it tonight, but
Yeah,
Oh.
it is under old business here, that's why I was.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see
I
it.
was
You're
prepared
right,
to
you're
do it
right,
tonight.
sorry, I'm not reading.
Yeah.
I'm like, so nerved up about all this other paperwork and all these people in front of us, so, okay. Well, then we can wait if we have time, and do it tonight as long as we have time.
yeah.
Okay, good. So then I guess that's it for town manager ongoing business. We'll move on to financials. Julia?
You have before you revenue spreadsheets. Total revenue year-to-date, $7,105,157.87. Total expenses year-to-date, $6,626,027.46. Does anyone have any questions on the revenue and expenses? We do, before the end of the fiscal year, have one more selectmen's meeting for expenditures for June 30. There are some outstanding state reimbursements that we're waiting for, so hopefully we'll get those prior to June 30th as well.
Any questions on financials?
I had a question which maybe is for Tom or maybe for you, Julia. On the county taxes that are going up $27,000, what percent increase is that roughly?
I read the email today, but I
Yeah,
didn't.
I don't know, I didn't calculate
Okay.
that. I know food base is going up 83,000, but I don't,
We can look at it and then send it over to you in the morning. I just,
Yeah.
I was just curious.
I just looked at the dollar figure.
Yeah.
total accounts payable for this evening is $451,398.10. And the bank balance is $2,490,425.82.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, moving on to the consent agenda, which we're going to take in its individual parts since it's so large tonight. So let's first approve the minutes from the last meeting. I look for a motion.
I'll move that.
Second.
Great, any discussion? No, all in favor? Okay, motion carries, minutes are approved. So then we're going to go, it makes most sense to approve the victualers licensees first, which is really item D on the agenda. And I think we should take these in two sections. First, the renewals, and then the new ones. So let's deal with the 63 renewal victualers licensees first. Anybody have another suggestion on how to take those?
No, that's good.
No? Okay. Look for a motion. Do we want to take them together as a group or parcel them out?
May I ask you, any of these that have any issues, complaints, anything that's been registered with the town? I don't see why we can't take them as the entire group, since there's not anything that's controversial, unless there's comment from the audience on any one of these.
But, I will read them out. I guess the first motion is,
So-
shall we take these
Yeah, so
63
I
as a
move that
group?
we take them all together as a group, the victualers licenses.
Second.
Okay,
Great.
So all in favor of taking them as a group? Okay, great. So let me read out the list of the 63, and if anybody has a concern, after I finish reading them, now would be a good time. So these are for renewal. Rose's Kitchen, Class A, and then Class B, Circle K, Eventide, Gimbel and Sons, Hannaford's, Harbor Mart. Class C will be Coastal Maine Popcorn, Curtis House, Downey's Candies, Downey's Ice Cream Factory, Finn McCool's, Hometown Convenience, Orange Candy, Sarah Scoops. Class D, Crust, Dutton's Doghouse, Shannon's Unshelled. Class E, the Opera House. Class F, Admiral's Quarters, Atlantic Art, Bayberry House, Bayside Inn B&B, Blue Heron, Seaside Inn, Boathouse Bistro, Bridge Street Cafe, Captain Sawyer's Place, Greenleaf Inn, Harbor House Inn, Harbor Ridge Inn, Howard House, Nana's Place B&B, Topside Inn, Class G, Baker's Way, Dockside Grill, St. Andrews Village. Class H, Andrews Harborside, Blue Moon Cafe, Booth Bay Harbor House of Pizza, Booth Bay Harbor Inn, Booth Bay Harbor Yacht Club, Booth Bay Lobster Wharf, Brown Brothers, Carousel Music Theater, China by the Sea, Chowder House, Fisherman's Wharf, Gallery Gatherings, Herringbones Pub and Grill, Kaler's Crab and Lobster House, Lincoln Bay Resort, Lobster Dock, Mama D's, McSeagle's, Mine Oyster, Pier 1 Pizza, Ports of Italy, Red Cup Coffee House, Spruce Point Inn, Thistle Inn, Tugboat Inn, Whale's Tail Walk and Grill, and Class I Harbor Theater. Anybody from the audience want to discuss or make a comment on any of these renewals for a victualer's license? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Yes.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Motion carries. Okay, so now we have two new victualer's license. One under Class H. One is for Waves Restaurant, 43 Commercial Street, and the other is for Cod's Head Fish House and Barbecue, 63 Atlantic Avenue. All right. Why don't we take these individually? I think that might
Yes.
be easier.
I'd like that because I have a question on one of them.
Okay,
So I'll
great.
move approval of Waves Restaurant.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any comments from the audience? Now is a good time. Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, Waves Restaurant is approved. All right, and now we come to Cod's Head Fish House and Barbecue, 63 Atlantic Avenue. I look for a motion?
Before a motion, can I just ask some clarifying questions?
Sure.
Before the motion? Tom, the copy that I have in the square for the approval of the code enforcement officer, there's nothing noted and no signature. So I am wondering why we're reviewing this, since at least the version I have does not have any approval by the code enforcement officer. Is yours like that also?
Yes.
Square?
Yes.
So I would consider this an incomplete application because it's not signed off by the code enforcement officer.
Well, I would recommend approval it subject to his signature, because Jeff is in agreement with granting this victualer's license. I don't know why he doesn't have a signature on it.
Well, I would like to ask the second question because I'm concerned, and what I'd love is to hear from Jeff, because I was not sure, but I thought this was the location where there was the sewage problem, with the sewage going directly into the...
That's been resolved. Yep.
I'd like to see documentation of that, and that the sewage is completely rectified and taken care of before I can approve this. But I just wanted to ask those clarifying questions. I'm a little uncomfortable without the code enforcement officer endorsement, since there was an issue previously with that, so.
Yeah, my understanding is that issue has been resolved, and Jeff has been participating in that. And I would agree with the town manager that I would be very comfortable in approving this, subject to the code enforcement signature. And that way, if they don't pass the code enforcement, then they don't get the license. So I will move that we approve this, subject to the code enforcement's inspection and signature.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion?
Excuse me, can we
Yes.
offer any, are you going to ask?
Yes,
them?
this is a public
Yes,
hearing.
this is a great time for discussion.
Great, because I strongly disapprove. So I had some questions.
Can you
Can we just
identify
state your
yourself?
name and where
Yeah,
you're
oh,
from?
sure. I'm Donna Piggin, and I own the property directly across the street. And I had some questions too. I had some clarification. What alcohol, what is this license for? What kind of spirits are we talking about?
There are 3 licenses in front of us tonight. One is for a victualer's license, which is to serve food, which has been already going on there, but it's a new owner, it's a new institution. Second is for liquor. Third is for special amusements, which is the music, et cetera. This is just the food part.
Oh, just the food?
The one we're considering right now is just the food.
Okay, I apologize.
No, no problem.
That's
Okay. I just want to note that the bottom of the form does say, food license inspection to take place on or around May 15th. Establishment is not to operate until state DHS food license is received, and a copy provided to the town. Right? We don't have that yet, do we?
We don't yet.
Okay. I mean, that's just normal operating process, but
Yep.
I just want to note that. Okay, any other discussion on this? No? Okay. Then we can take a vote. All in favor of issuing this license?
Just
On the-
one
yes?
second. Yeah. Did you
Do
have a comment?
comment?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay.
I didn't hear ya.
Just on this vote, for this particular place, I'm going to abstain from voting in regards to conflict of interest, so.
Absolutely fine. I totally appreciate your thinking that way,
Can,
and
if you
that's-
could declare what the conflict is about, that would just help everyone understand.
Yes, I'm employed by Ralph Smith at the Boathouse Bistro, so.
Makes sense.
Thanks very much. Appreciate the fact that you honor the conflict of interest policy. Okay, so then it's up to the 4 of us. All in favor of approving the victualer's license for Todd's Head Fish House and Barbecue?
And I'm
Okay.
opposed,
Okay?
just
So
because I
it's 3 to
consider it
1.
incomplete.
Okay? All right, with that condition. All right, then we'll move on to liquor licensees. All right, we have 4 renewals and 2 new. So let's deal with the 4 renewals first. We have renewals for Herringbones, Boathouse Bistro, Booth Bay Lobster Wharf, and Ports of Italy. And I just want to double check that the police chief has signed off on all of these, which it appears he has. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the 4 renewals?
Also move that.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about, or comment about the liquor licenses for the 4 businesses, restaurants that I've mentioned? Any more discussion up here? Seeing none, all in favor of the renewals? Okay, motion passes. So we'll take the 2 new businesses, let's take them separately. We have an application for a liquor license for Waves Restaurant at 43 Commercial Street. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about the liquor license at Waves Restaurant at 43 Commercial Street? My recollection is that there wasn't one at that location before, was there?
I don't believe so.
No.
Was there?
No.
No. Okay,
And I might point out, it's for Malt and Venus, not hard liquor.
okay. Malt and Venus is what it's for. Any comments? Hearing none? All in favor? Okay, liquor license has been granted. And now we'll move on to the liquor license for Cobb's Head Fish House and Barbecue at 61 Atlantic Avenue. What's that?
63.
It's 63, it says it's 61 here.
I typoed,
Yeah, okay. It's for malt, spirits, and Venus, so it's for the full vote for the liquor license. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move that.
Second?
Second.
Okay, the police chief has approved this. I'm looking at, see now, perhaps now, Donna, it might be time for your comments.
This is about the liquor only.
The liquor, this is about the liquor
Yes.
license.
I know there are two permits being requested from this particular establishment. First of all, may I ask a question, just my own clarification? Has this establishment ever had a liquor license before?
You know, I don't know
You're
that.
talking about the previous one?
You mean that
Well,
location?
At that location? I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't freeze the spot, so I don't know.
I don't know. We think
Oh,
not.
it's a BIOB, yeah.
I think so.
We believe not.
Okay.
Used to bring your own.
Yeah, you brought your own.
Oh, that's right. You could bring your own. Yes, that's right.
I'm partly speaking for myself, and I'm also speaking for, I've had an opportunity to talk to different people in the neighborhood. And first addressing the alcohol. Of course, our neighborhood is a little different than downtown because we are general residential on one side, and it's, I don't know if you actually call it commercial or if it's maritime water dependent district, whatever you call it. Okay, downtown, we have commercial, and we have many drinking establishments, bars that stay open until 12:30 at night, and people do. We have to have a place in Goose Bay Harbor for this, I understand, because they're fun young people. But on the east side of town, I lived there for 30 years. And yes, we do have facilities that offer liquor. For example, we have the Rock Tide, you know anyways, Goose Bay Harbor Inn, Brown's, Whale's Tail. These restaurants attract, with their full spread of liquor, generally an older, reserved crowd. And I mean, I've lived there for 30 years, so I know what's going on, and very, very, very little disturbance. The only disturbance we usually have on that street is when people, after the bars close downtown, walk over the footbridge and come down our street at the close of bars. And I'm also aware that, I'm not the only one that's aware of this, I'm just stating this. There has been significant problems down around Pier 1 that the police are usually there every night at closing. I mean, last night there was a fight on the pier. Now, we are a residential area on one side of Atlantic Ave, and I think, myself speaking, I bought a home there because I personally want to be away from heavy drinking. And the kind of drinking that is very, now there are other casual places, I agree, on Atlantic Ave. However, they're closing at 4 and 6 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock at night, that's it. Now this particular new business is requesting on their website, they're saying that they're going to be open until 12:30 at night. Now this is a very casual place, it's going to have a barbecue, so what kind of clientele is going to be there drinking at 12:30 at night? Is it going to be the 60-year-old dinner crowd? I mean, this is a concern. I have a serious concern because not only, okay, I'm right across the street, this isn't totally selfish, but there are a lot of other people there that came to this region because of the integrity of the region, the lack of drinking, the lack of partying, the lack of noise, the sense of peace, quality of life that we all appreciate. And really, this area for 30 years has been like that. Because this restaurant across the street, remember, started and was permitted to operate as a breakfast place. It was only the last couple of years it started to have lunch and maybe extended on to 6 or 7 o'clock at night in clubs. That's it. Very simple, very unintrusive, not a problem. This is a totally different type of establishment as I see it. Staying open till 12:30 at night, liquor.
Well, thank you for your comments. Let me just say that, and Ralph, I'll let you speak in a second, but the victualer's license that we just approved, which we did first, did say the hours of operation were going to be from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. But Ralph, why don't you
Okay, Ralph Smith, Cod's Head, Mine Oyster, Boathouse Bistro, and Still McSeagles. If you want to change it to 10 o'clock, I'll be glad to. My intention is to close right after sunset. It's not going to be a late place. Breakfast, it's at 5 a.m. The fishermen would like to have breakfast. We're going to try to see how it works. If it's too loud, we'll open up at 7, 8 o'clock. I think we'll probably start off opening at 7 because there seems to be a little worry at the hotel about noise. People, sleeping for, paying for rooms and stuff. I think the liquor license, 10 years, no violations. There shouldn't be a problem with it. 3 locations.
thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Thank you for offering to be flexible with your
10 o'clock
closing
is fine.
times.
I plan on closing early. You can write it in that we close at 10 o'clock. It's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Sure, absolutely. That's what the public hearing's for.
Okay, I guess I'm not familiar. You already passed the liquor license without
No, we
asking?
didn't pass the liquor license, but we passed the license for the food to be open.
Thank you.
And on that, it said 5 to 11. And I haven't read that out loud, so I just wanted to let the audience know.
I do have another question.
Go ahead.
Now, I haven't had time to consult my lawyer because I was just notified Saturday, and Sunday is, this wonderful Mother's Day, and here's Monday. So, I would normally have legal advice on this, but I do understand that a bar, now, I may be wrong, but my understanding is a bar may not be 500, this is a Maine state law that a bar may not be 500 feet from the church. I measured it. Now, this isn't feet like 12 inches. This is simply walking. Okay. From the church property to the beginning of Captain Fisher's property is 150 feet. From the steps of the church to the steps of this restaurant is about 400 feet.
Okay, I have no idea what the state law is. So I personally don't know how to respond to that, but it's certainly something that I think we should consider or
Can
consider
I just add to
taking
that?
Yes,
Keep in mind, the liquor
absolutely.
license is a state license, It falls under
Yeah.
their regulations.
That's what I was just gonna ask
They're
you.
the ones that will determine whether or not it falls within their regulations or not. This is just an approval of the municipality, which they take under advisement of whether or not the municipality is okay with it or has a problem with it.
Right, so the town doesn't actually grant this license, the state
Correct.
actually grants this license. The town makes a recommendation to the state,
Correct.
and that's what we're voting on tonight.
Mhm.
Other comments? Norm?
Tom Pierce, with Bear. I'm willing to give it a try, okay? I've got usually 1 to 3 vessels at the dock, less than 50 feet from where this is. And those yachts belong to somebody else. They're worth anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. The first time there's some damage, I'm going to have to leave, take my business and move somewhere else. I've been here for over 50 years. This is a furthering a non-conforming use. That motel was grandfathered, okay? The restaurant was allowed as a non-conforming use. Now you're furthering that non-conforming use because it's in the marine zone.
Restaurants are permitted in the marine zone.
It wasn't at first.
It may be, but they're permitted now. It's certainly a non-conforming structure because it's obviously too close to the water. But in terms of a use, at least at this point in time, it's a permitted use.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I think
you're
I'm-
talking a restaurant, not a bar, not a tavern.
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to comment, Norm, I'm very empathetic to your comment about non-conforming uses, and I think that I'll speak for myself, I think most of the board feels this way. We want to encourage economic development in the town, but we want businesses to comply with our zoning ordinances. So there's a balance there that we have to weigh and make. And we also hope that businesses and residents and neighbors will be friendly and work out any potential difficult situations and conflict together. And I will say tonight, I did hear Ralph offering already to change his hours to 10 o'clock. So, but that being said, I think you have a very good point about being concerned about expanding a non-conforming use, and that's something that our codes enforcement officer needs to watch out for. So, any other concerns, comments on the liquor license for Todd's Head Fish House? One more? Right, yes.
So can we assume that if you go ahead with this, the condition being that this restaurant will close at 10 o'clock at night, because it's a big difference between alcohol being served up until 10 o'clock at night, which is more of a dinner type thing, than as on the website, 12:30 in the morning?
Okay, let's have the owner respond to that.
Write it into the conditions, please.
Okay.
I'll gladly, 10 o'clock is fine. I want them to be on the other side of the harbor at 10 o'clock.
Okay, sounds like a deal. So I'm hearing a yes, and we will write that in on the victualer's license. Okay, we all okay with that?
The liquor license, you mean?
Well,
I think.
I don't think the time is
The
necessary.
liquor license
on
doesn't
the
have times.
on it. But
So perhaps I should amend my motion for approval, subject to the revision of the stated times on the victualler license, which is the condition that we've talked about here with the folks in the audience. But I need to have my seconder approve that,
Okay.
so.
I don't think I seconded it. I think you did.
Yeah.
So say again, what?
I'll amend my motion for the approval of the liquor license, subject to the amendment of the modified closure time on the victualler license, to which the owner has
To
consented.
10 o'clock?
Yes, to 10 o'clock.
Okay.
are you in agreement?
I'm right there.
The victual license does not have times on it, so the only times are on the I'm sorry, the liquor license has
Doesn't
no
have
times on
times.
it. The victual
The
license
victualer's
has the
license
times
has
on it.
times. So I'll amend my second.
Okay, great. Okay.
There is one question.
Yes, question in the back.
You just got through saying the victualler's license was 11 o'clock, so now you've already upped it an hour.
No.
No, we
no.
said 10
Back
o'clock.
We moved it back to
But
10.
did she not just approve it till the victualler's license?
No,
No.
subject to
we're-
closing at 10.
Subject to closing at 10 o'clock.
Yes, as noted by the owner.
Okay, so, all in favor of Wendy's
amended motion,
amended
yeah.
motion?
And Trish, you're abstaining
You're
from this
abstaining.
vote.
Yes.
Okay, for the same
Okay.
reason.
Okay. Okay,
I
so,
move we amend the victualer's license by adding the constraint, the condition, that it close at 10 o'clock.
I will second that.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, so we fixed that little administrative problem. So, 10 o'clock on the victualler's license, and the liquor license is approved. All right, so I think we're done with those. We're on to special amusement licensees. All right, of which there are 3 renewals and 1 new. So the 3 renewals are Carousel Music Theater, Booth Bay, Lobster Wharf, and Red Cup Coffee House.
May I ask a clarification
Yes, you
question
may.
before a motion? Of the renewals, only the Carousel Music Theater actually is signed by the applicant with indicates they are certifying, they understand the special amusement restrictions, and the Red Cup has no applicant signature, the Booth Bay Lobster Wharf has no applicant signature, but the Carousel Music Theater does have an applicant signature, and since that's the attestation that they understand the restrictions on special amusement, I consider that a very important part of the application. So, Tom, can you just tell us how this kind of gets by to come to us without the signatures on it? Who kind of monitors to make sure this is
Well, they
complete?
come in a variety of ways, but generally through Trish. Again, I would make this subject to signatures, approval upon having the signatures in place before we hand out the permit.
Okay, and I think it'd be great if you just remind the office staff that people should sign these before
Absolutely, yeah.
when they drop them off and rush out the door.
Yeah, I
absolutely.
actually think we should, I'm happy to go along with that, but I think they shouldn't come to us until they're complete. I think that's the process that
We all-
should bring
all
us a
agree.
completed application.
Since we will have more of these throughout the year, Tom, can we charge you with making sure
Sure.
that they're signed before they get to us?
Yeah.
That'll make- You're right, it's a better process,
That's fine.
and we'll do that.
That's right. Now, unless Paul and Wendy Johnson, or Todd and Kimberly Simmons, or that one was signed, are here? No. Okay. Otherwise,
Signed on the spot.
signed on the spot, exactly.
There we go.
Okay, so we'll take those 3 as, or I'll take a motion to take those 3
Can-
renewals.
I'm going to move approval of the carousel clean, because it does not require any
Okay.
retroactive signature, and I'll
That's fine.
approve the special amusement for the Carousel Music Theater.
Second.
Okay. Any conversation, any from the audience on the Carousel Music Theater? No, okay. All in favor?
Can we just, before we vote, can we just clarify that application and what it's really asking for in terms of amusement and times?
The Carousel is asking to be open from June 13th to October 11th, 2 special events, June 12th and October 2nd. unamplified vocal music, entertainment other than music, amplified vocal, and dancing. That's what they've asked for. I do not have they did not submit a diagram. I believe it's all inside, it always has been, to the best of my knowledge in the past. And they're not located close by to many residences, some maybe, not
Okay,
many.
thank you.
All in favor? Okay, that motion carries. All right, so that leaves the other two, the ones that we're going to need a motion on, condition upon signature.
I move we approve the Booth Bay Lobster Wharf and the Red Cup Coffee House, conditional upon applicant's signature on the form.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. The Red Cup Coffee House is for amplified vocal and instrumental music. Someplace, I think I did see a diagram for inside, and it was for Friday evenings from 7 until 10, from April through October, and Saturday afternoons from 5 until 7, from April through October. And the Booth Bay Lobster Wharf was amplified vocal, May through October. And do we have I think I saw a diagram.
There is,
Where it went
yeah.
through and all that,
They're attached to the
attached
licenses.
to something else?
Yeah, I know Trish made duplicates when those came in, so.
Yeah, it's just not attached to my amusement license. So, but that will be outside. Okay, yes, comment.
My comment is on the Booth Bay Harbor Lobsterman's Wharf.
Yeah, can you state your name and your address?
Kim Reed Upham, 55 Commercial Street.
Okay,
And the concern is that that is outside music, the hours of it. You had a lot of complaints last year because it echoes off the ocean and bothered a lot of people. And I know this side of the harbor, everybody that has a special amusement on the bar side, if you want to call it that, has to be inside the building, the windows have to be closed, they have to keep down the noise, and all of a sudden, you guys are sitting here and approving licenses for the other side of the harbor, that's echoing over to this side of the harbor, for open space music.
okay.
I mean, it's playing late at night.
Let me clarify.
It's always been the rule that they have
Yeah.
to keep the controls in their building,
the-
and now you're allowing it to be
The
wide
codes,
open air.
the codes for both sides of the harbor are exactly the same. And amplified outdoor entertainment is only allowed between 9 AM and 9 PM, no later than 9 PM,
Okay, that's what I'm after.
okay? Unamplified outdoor entertainment can go between 9 AM and 10 PM. And all entertainment has to cease by 11 AM. So if you have amplified entertainment after 9 PM, it has to be indoors and the windows have to be shut. And that's the codes for all the districts in Booth Bay Harbor.
Richard Shea, 15 Atlantic Ave. Other outside venues that you've had permits for, the Charter House, the music, excuse me, the music is extremely loud. So loud that when I called to make a complaint, they told me to turn my music down. They were hearing it through the telephone. The police did come, they agreed it was very loud, but there's nothing they could do. They say they don't have a sound meter. We have an ordinance on how loud it should be. If the police don't have a sound meter, they can't enforce it. Why have a rule? I mean, you gotta get them a sound meter.
I think that's an interesting suggestion.
It's not a suggestion, it's a citizen request.
There was something also in the discussion last year that where the reading is taken from, I believe, is the property line. Well, that's not necessarily a fair way to read that, depending on the size of the lot and so forth. So that ordinance should be refined down to be more precise about how you take that reading. Because on a large lot, you'll be a long ways away from the music. On a small lot, you'll be right next to it, so it would come across differently.
Yeah, it certainly, just like the parking ordinance, I'm sure our noise ordinance could use some enhancement. But it will probably also take a lot of volunteer effort and time to figure out what an appropriate.
The problem is, these things happen after business hours. The town hall is closed till Monday morning, and then everyone forgets about it, and another week goes by.
Yeah. My advice would be to make sure that if you continue, or if you begin to have complaints again this summer, make sure you call 911 and register a complaint. We need to keep a record of what those complaints are. And then it will be up to the town and the codes enforcement officer to figure out what to do.
That's not a good answer, Denise.
Well,
That's a cop-out.
then I suggested last year that, we consider more measurement and things like that, and quite frankly, the board wasn't in agreement to that, but, you know, we may need to talk about that more this year. And
So
I
what you're
looked.
saying is it's okay to be as loud as you can possibly be, and the hell with the
No,
residents?
no, I think people need to, I think that the businesses that have received a special amusement license needs to comply with the ordinance. And we need to make sure those businesses comply with the ordinance. And if they don't, it's incumbent to the people that are being bothered to call 911 and make a complaint. And make sure you do.
Regular businesses are okay, it's the special ones.
No, well, I said special amusement licensees, so, you know, I'm hoping it's gonna be the odd case this summer where we have that kind of complaint.
But when it happens, the police should be able to make a judgment call, and they have no tool to make that call with. That's the problem.
Well-
You're not giving them the tool. If someone said it was a safety thing, all hell would break loose, and they'd have everything they needed.
I think it's a good point, and if it's up to me, we'll look into the appropriate noise meters. I see some other hands back there.
Mitch Weiss, 49 Atlantic. I totally agree with Richard. Every week on a bathing property, play music on Sundays. Every week we called, the next door neighbor called, the officer showed up. He says, I have no tools to deal with this. There's speed limits. How is that enforced? They have a gun. They measure the speed. Is there not a tool for sound? Why don't we have one?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Dawn Weiss, 47 Atlantic Avenue. I've spent more hours than I wanted to spend on this, but I have found a noise meter that the majority of the police departments in the United States use. It's a great company out of Michigan. Last year, we kept calling the police about the noise of a property that was right next to us. We play very low music in our restaurant, indoors and out. It's a service that we subscribe to and pay to. You cannot hear it at our neighbor's house. We play it just so our customers can hear it. When we are sitting in our restaurant, this noise is so loud, you cannot talk to someone at your own table and hear your conversations. I have it recorded. The police have shown up. They have heard it. I hear the same thing. Yeah, but we don't have the equipment. I have found for $555 with a $28 shipping fee, one of the most perfect noise meters that can be used that can reach all the decibels for high and low that is needed. You know, you buy a new equipment, you can't afford $583, and I got a great contact. She can ship it out tomorwer.
Excellent.
Can you
I'm sure
provide that to us?
Yeah.
I've got it
Thanks.
right
Great.
here.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay, Helen.
I'd like to just make a correction, nothing to do with here, but you said call 911. No, 911 is for emergency only.
No.
2451 is your police.
Yeah, use the non-emergency.
Non-
Right.
At night?
Yep.
Okay, my memory was that the chief told us to call 911.
Only for emergencies.
And, okay, fine.
Thank you.
Yes, another, did you see another hand?
There is,
Yeah.
and I want to comment when they're done.
Yes. Oh.
Excuse me, my name's Omar Reed, and I live on 14 Atlantic Avenue. I have complained continually, and you know what some of the responses I got? Shut your window. Why should I have shut my window and block out music? And I live directly across from them places, and the other night they were playing, and it was up to 11 o'clock, 12:30, 1, and the music was still going on. Why, what sense to call? Nobody does anything about it.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to shut your
You shouldn't have to
windows.
put up with it.
Connie
Mrs. Reed.
14 Atlantic, they say, where's it coming from? And I'm going, I don't know where it's coming from. It's coming from over town. Close your window. Or turn your radio down so I can hear you. And I'm going,
Yeah, we've got the same response that he's got. Turn your radio down. Told the operator, we don't even have a radio.
Okay.
We got it up to the window.
All right, well, we'll make sure that, I'm assuming that you're getting that response from who, whatever officer is on duty.
I won't get anybody in.
So, well, at night, that's who's working, so we'll make sure that the chief gets his feedback. And I'm sure he'll
I enjoy a
do
good
something
time like
about it.
everybody else, but I think 10, 11 is a good time to talk all music. After that, they let the Joy Boys go on, and they get on the footbridge and all and hoot and throw each other over.
Anybody else? One more in the back of the
The
room.
high tide amplifies. It really does.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely, you're right.
So tell them not to play till it's low tide.
We should have a symphony on the footbridge and call it water music.
Okay, I think Wendy had a comment.
I'm glad to know all the townspeople have a sense of humor, which is great. And I want to apologize, because this is like Groundhog Day for me, recalling that we went through a lot of these same conversations last year. And what I'm hearing is you all expect us to do something different. And I think we have not, and I think that we need to talk with Chief Hatch and Tom, and we do need to provide some mechanism or tools where the police can make some judgments. They may not be perfect judgments, but what you are telling us is the current system that we have is not adequate to enforce our ordinances. And I think we need to re-examine how we are working with the police department to try and be more responsive. So, Tom, if you could carry that on to Chief Hash, that it would be great if he could look at this information about some noise meters and bring a proposal forward to us about how his officers will have at least some possibility of making a judgment about whether something is too loud or not, so people aren't left frankly frustrated, because this is the same complaints we were hearing last year. So I apologize.
And in Bob's defense, I mean, he was completely for getting the right equipment to do it. It was needing to clean up how do you use the equipment as far as where do you take these readings from and so forth. That's the area we need to focus on. That's not that we don't want to use the equipment. It's just under what rules are you going to use them.
Great.
So we should have that discussion too.
Right, equipment and a policy and how they can utilize it.
Exactly.
I think we should, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go
I think
ahead.
we should take her information from her if she's
we
willing to
will.
provide it now.
Absolutely.
And then that way we have something at least to go on.
Thanks, Dawn.
And also, I
Appreciate
mean,
it.
as far as where you're saying, like where it can be taken from, it's right in your own code. It says where you measure from
Right.
and what you
Yeah,
have
on
to
the abutting
listen for.
property line,
It's
right.
right there and it tells you. So, I mean, anyone saying they don't know, it's there. And this company will show you how to use this equipment. It comes with a calibrator so that it's always accurate. I should go into the business because I know a lot about it now.
That's one of those spin-offs.
Thank you for all the volunteer time and research you did on that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I should have been doing a bunch of other things.
All right, we're kind of getting a slightly off topic. Norm, do you have one more question, one more
There's
comment?
one simple way of rendering this problem at the moment, and that's to not issue an amplified music permit.
Well, that's true. That could be done. Any other comments? Just a minute. Yes, ma'am.
While making these decisions, we should remember that this music and our famous entertainment is our greatest asset. Everything from the band concert right through to the night places. We're famous for it. People come here and save all year to get here.
Exactly. Well, that's, like I was speaking to a balance. We need to strike a nice balance, I think, in the harbor when we make these decisions. Katrina?
For anyone that doesn't know, Katrina Clark, Harbor resident and the reporter for the Register. I just have a question, because I was here last year during the discussion, and everyone was told to call and register complaints so you would have them next year when these came up. My question is there a spot for the chief to initial these? Is there a record of these complaints? Because people are saying they called every night. In that case, a record should be in front of you of a series of many complaints. Do you have that? Is there a spot that the chief has signed? Is there anything like that on there?
There's nothing on these applications, but he can pull up a report that says how many times they've responded to noise calls and so forth, which he did last year. I'm sure after this meeting, he'll do it again.
Okay, just only because that's what everyone was told to do, and if you don't have it in front of you, you don't have all the information you need, I would think. I'm not sure.
Well, right. Although I think this conversation's gone on so long, I've kind of forgotten where we're at in the whole voting and process. But I think we were discussing...
We're doing the two renewals, the Lobster Wharf and the Red Cup.
And I don't recall that there were any major or any significant number of complaints about those locations. But that's my recollection, and it's possible it could be wrong.
But you're right, Katrina. Last year, we did say that when the special amusements came along, that we wanted to hear from the chief if there were complaints from any of the applicants for the special amusement licenses.
Okay.
So Tom, can we get that record? Can we see that record from last summer?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm sure we'll have that within the next 24 to 48 hours. So, super. Okay. Is there a comment on the renewal for the Booth Bay Lobster Wharf or the Red Cup? So that's actually the motion that's on the table right now. Or do you want to hold your comment? I take that as a, you'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Avenue. Tell me the two that you're going to give the permit on right now.
Booth Bay Lobster Wharf, 97 Atlantic Avenue.
And that's the one one of the ones that they're talking about that is so noisy. Okay, I know for a fact how noisy that place is. Okay, because they do outside entertainment in the summertime.
You're right, it is outside entertainment.
And I'd like to know how many times they've called in on that one to say things off. You're sitting there listening to all these people commenting on all this, but then you're going to go ahead and give them.
No, we haven't voted, and it could be tabled. It's
Well,
all up to me.
I will make a motion to table the Booth Bay Lobster Wharf application until we receive the information from the chief.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Second.
So that's an amendment to the earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a motion
Amendment to
already,
the
isn't
earlier
there?
motion.
Okay. All in favor of the Wendy's amended motion, which is to table the Booth Bay Lobster Wharf special amusement license? All in favor? Okay, so that's tabled.
Then I will move approval of the Red Cup Coffee House renewal for approval.
You already did it, yeah.
You have
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
Well,
So
since
we'll
we took
take-
the other offer, whatever.
Okay. Any more discussion about the Red Cup?
So Denise, would you
Yes.
read again what it is they're asking
They're
for?
in-
Absolutely.
yeah.
They're inside. They're the small coffee house. They've asked for entertainment Friday evening 7 till 10 and Saturday afternoon 5 to 7.
Inside.
Inside.
Okay. Great.
Okay. I'm seeing no more discussion. All in favor of the Red Cup special amusement? Okay, so that one passes. Okay. So now we're on to the new special amusement request, which is Todd's Head Fish House Barbecue, 63 Atlantic Avenue. And the form I have in front of me, two, making sure they're the same, is for unamplified vocal music and amplified vocal music. Well, it sunsets from May through October is what it says. And there was another diagram with a whole list of dates or something.
Right.
There are a whole list of dates, but without a whole lot of, I think that was supposed to be a list of who the entertainers are, that entertainers are blank. It does say Friday, October 17th, Oyster Festival, all day under a tent. Sounds delicious. I want to point out, Ralph, that I think that that special event requires a different license, so.
That's correct, I understand.
Okay, great.
Good.
Glad we're on the same wavelength about that.
I'm going to make that same
Okay,
recommendation.
great. So, why don't we, to get the discussion going, can I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
And a second?
Second.
And we have a,
Yes, I'd like to amend pending the applicant's signature attesting that they understand the regulations and the codes restricting
That's what I meant.
entertainment.
okay,
Yes.
great. So, let's, get into, come and sign right there. Before you leave. The original, why don't you sign the original? So, I want to open this up to discussion. Before people ask questions, maybe we can save some of the questions. If, Ralph, do you want to give us, can you give us a little explanation of what you have in mind?
Have you been over there?
Yes,
I have.
In the parking lot.
Beautiful sunset. It looks like a Jimmy Buffett scene.
Right.
I mean, a guitar, a margarita, right on the water. I'm not talking amplified. It's half the size of this room. You couldn't put a band in there if you wanted to. It's not our intention. It's just soft music, guitar, maybe a little singing. I just think it lends to the experience that we're trying to give to our customers. That's it.
And
It's a new property. I'm not sure. I put those dates in because my plan is to do it on weekends. Not sure. We don't know how it'll work. We haven't been there. You know, it's not open. These things create their own deal there. You know, maybe it doesn't warrant music. Maybe it does. I don't know yet. So we'd like to try it, but we also want to be quiet about it. We don't want to be intrusive, and it's not going to be amplified. There's not going to be drums. There's not going to be a band.
Ralph, excuse me, would you be willing to limit your application to a duo or less?
Sure.
Okay.
And how about unamplified? How about unamplified only?
Unamplified only, outside, yes, but I'd love to do.
Can I speak to that for a second, sir?
You can speak.
Because I'm going to be playing a lot of these dates, and I'm almost 60. And I'm just going to be playing nice, easy listening music. And amplification, I don't think would be 50 decibels at 50 feet. So it would fall way below what you guys allow. And that's what you're probably looking for when you're going to use your sound decibel meter, is how many feet, how many decibels in so many feet. And is it steady? Is it steady interruption at that decibel level, or does it do this? You know, does it go up and down at 100 feet? So many. Anyway. The point is very soft music and a little bit at sunset, and that's all the plan is at this point.
Okay.
And no more than a duo.
And summer's coming up quick. This is all coming up very quick. I have not had a chance to even talk to some of my neighbors about this stuff. I mean, I don't exactly know what we're going to do. You know, if my neighbor really objects to it, we'll have a beer and we'll figure it out. I won't do it. It's I want to be a good neighbor. I still think it lends to a good experience for our guests to come from everywhere to spend time on our harbor. I mean, it's a beautiful sunset. It's a happy hour at sunset, and then we're gonna close after sunset. That's the whole plan, you know?
So, Ralph, are you playing the entertainment right out here on the water edge?
See where
Is
those
that-
booths are inside?
Yeah.
That would be the amplified, that would be, if we had amplified music, would be inside.
Right, so just to clarify, the application says all musicians will play inside Cod's Head when amplified and will play on the deck at times not amplified.
That's what it says. And this marks the spot where they would be playing unamplified outside.
Got it. Thank you.
And that's on the water?
It's right on the edge of the deck, yes.
Okay.
And again, I don't know if we're gonna do it, but it would be nice to try.
Okay.
So, let me modify my motion to approve not only the signature, which we may now resolve, but also with the conditions that it is no more than a duo. And under the constraints marked on Ralph's application, let me just say it that way.
I would agree with that.
Was
It's up to you.
What? I can't remember.
Kelly,
Yeah.
who seconded that, do you remember?
I think I seconded it.
Yeah, I
And
think
I'll
you did too.
accept the amendment in my
Okay.
second.
Great. So, other comments, because I think that some of you came because you were concerned about this music from this new location. So now is a great time to speak about it. Richard?
I think that it's a new business, it's a new venue, everything's new about it. I think you ought to be given a chance. And you're gonna have the veto opportunity anytime.
Okay. Other comments?
Well, I guess I have a question.
Sure.
Our restaurant is going into its 23rd season, our 16th. And when we've asked about certain things on our property, which has been there, operating, not new, we've been told no. And it seems to me that a lot of people are being told yes now of things that we've been told no. So does that mean now if I come forward to do some of the things that we've been wanting to do, we're gonna be told yes?
If they're within the ordinances.
Yeah, if they're within the ordinances, I would see why not.
Well,
But it's within,
okay.
the question about whether
Sounds
it's
good to me.
within the ordinance. Frank?
Frank Fassett, Blue Bay Harbor. I will address that. In the last 5, 6, 7 years, there's been an increased focus on economic development in the whole region. In the early 90s, it was put the brakes on, and all you have to do is read the old comprehensive plan and the old ordinances, and then we've had the brakes on too long. So don't be surprised if things are a little different. We're working very, very hard to get compromise and to have intelligent growth. We have rules, they have to be followed. But by all means, I would bring it up again. Yeah, it's different.
Looks like that's it.
Any other comments? Yes.
Robert Spurgeon, 6 Atlantic. I think in general what it is, nobody has a problem with Ralph and anybody wants to do here. I don't think that's a problem. But the problem is, in general, everybody has a problem with every restaurant on this side of the harbor, or the other side of the harbor, everything, thinking they have to have extremely loud rock music playing during the hours when people are trying to dine. I mean, this is the point now, everybody's just, really truthfully, they're tired of it. Because you're getting complaints, the police department getting complaints, everybody knows you're getting complaints, but nothing seems to be done, and it's just every year, somebody else is doing it. Oh, they're doing it, we want to do it. Well, before long, you're gonna have 14 bands blasting across the harbor to the point that everybody that has a boat here is gonna say, I don't wanna come to Blue Bay Harbor because you can't relax on your boat because you're getting blasted with music. You can't relax in your, in a restaurant and have dinner because you're getting blasted with music. You can't relax in your home, you're getting blasted with music. At some point, it has to say, let's slow it down, let's stop it, whatever. But it's just going on too long. That's my opinion.
Well, Ralph is talking about doing it.
Yeah, what he's doing, I'm thinking he's looking at it responsibly and gonna try to work with everybody. But some of these, they do not at all. They don't care.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Yes.
Again, my establishment is right across the street, I just have a real concern because I also have a business that I've grown for 30 years, and it's based on sleep. Now, I don't want to be, I'm cooperative, but I attract a reserved, older crowd that likes to read, and they come back every year, and we have another little bed and breakfast in back of me. And, so far, it's been okay, but, we hear everything. And so I would be concerned that, I'm also under the impression that once something is passed, it's a done deal forever. Because I'm just thinking now, there's been some problems on Pier 1. As a matter of fact, the police are there every single night. And nothing has changed. It's a done deal because somehow these people got permits a long time ago. There was a fight there last night. Okay, so I'm very pleased with the cooperation about closing the restaurant at 10 o'clock. I think that was very admirable, and I thank Ralph for that flexibility. The other concern I have is if you're going to give a permit, I would like really clear guidelines on the decibel, when this music can be, because outside, there's just no way. I mean, everybody is going to just come, we're going to hear it. And so this is could possibly make us dysfunctional. I mean, people are sitting on the porch. We are right across, I don't know, you must know where I am. And
Right, you're across the street.
And I don't feel that, now, I like this idea, this other place that said they had, it was, the Lobster Dog has music. It's contained to their premises. It's not interfering with someone's sleep or someone's conversation next door or anything else. So I would like the music. And I would like it monitored. I don't think we should have to call all the time. I mean, I have to go to bed early. I have to get up at 3 in the morning. So I don't want to be calling the police all the time.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that we don't have a big enough police force so that they can do constant monitoring 24/7. So unfortunately, I think the complaints really are up to the resident to call and make that complaint.
Okay,
I think it's the only way it's going to work. And I do want to remind people that we need to operate by our current existing codes. And I would ask that everybody work with us. We'll try it out. We'll do our best to try to get some meters, try to maybe measure the sound. But we may find that the codes need modifying or enhancing or whatever. And we'll be looking for some feedback and some input on that. So.
Okay, but you were able to make an amendment on the permit for hours.
Yes.
I would like it written that it would be a certain, like I think this gentleman said, 50 decibels or something. I mean, I don't mind soft music. And when, I'd like clarity on when the outside versus the amplified versus the unamplified.
Yes, it's in the code.
All of that's spelled out in the code in
It's all in the
detail.
code. And
Yes, I
that's
know.
what they have to sign.
Yeah.
That's why I'm beefing about the signature, is they're supposed
They
to
have
sign
to-
that they have read the code and understand
So
what
in
the
other
code
words, they
is.
can have amplified music till 9 o'clock at night, outside.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that's the current
I
code.
disagree with that.
Well,
Then we need
Then-
to change the code.
That you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't agree with the permit under those conditions.
oh, well.
But that's the current codes for Booth Bay Harbor, so we need to change, if we want to change that, we need to change the codes.
But what I'm saying is, are you asking the community how they feel about this amusement license?
Well, we are, and we've heard your comment, but I think from where we're coming from, whether we personally agree or disagree with the code, it's what we have to operate under at this point in time. So,
And with that, I'm only one person, and I'm sorry, but under that, I do not support
I appreciate that, and if there are others of you who feel that way, I would say, more feedback, more input, the better. Just like last year, the folks from Campbell Street on the east side came to us about parking, and we attempted to do something about changing the parking codes. Frank?
Yeah, Frank Bassett, Whitby Harbor, to her comment about you making the amendment, I just want to make it clear that the selectmen, as far as I take it, did not make that amendment. The owner of the business made that amendment. And in fact, selectmen don't make amendments. Selectmen enforce the ordinances that we, the people, write. Therefore, isn't that correct?
Close, but not quite. We're allowed to put conditions on licenses, and we
Okay.
put a condition on the victualer's license
To reflect the owner's own
to
recommendation.
reflect Ralph's.
Right.
Agreed.
But a business owner would have every right to expect to be able to operate their business to the foremost extent of the ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Ralph,
that's
the
what
other,
I'm
the other thing is that,
saying.
a little bit to Denise's comment, there's all these ordinances that we have, and there's many, many, many of them, and many of them are antiquated. Many of them don't make sense anymore. And we really need to get involved as citizens before they start to become, we're never going to get them all, but we have ordinance review every year with the planning board. And sadly, I didn't even go this year. I was the only one there for a couple of years. That's the time to sit down and really look at these things and then get them on the warrant and vote on them as a town. All these folks are doing here is enforcing the laws that we, the people, made. So if we don't like them, we want to change them, we can't change them right here, right now. You have to follow them.
Good point. Okay, one last comment. Dawn?
I think one of the issues that a lot of people are having with the sound noises, and it really is very loud, and I've had police officers standing on my property going, I get it, I get it. I think in writing whatever our code has to be for sound and what the decibels are, we have to take into consideration that we live in a harbor, and it reflects, all the sound reflects off the water, and maybe because we're in a special situation, being surrounded by water, that it really makes a difference where we put our levels. And I mean, you can stand on my property and anyone is welcome to come over and stand there, and you can listen to full conversations of people downtown. Mitch and I can even tell you sometimes who the voices are, and you would think they were like sitting right next to you. I've heard breakups, we've heard fights, we've heard the police talking to people.
Don't get nervous out there
You can
that
hear
she may
it.
have heard. Yeah.
You can hear someone sneeze.
Rise of passion in the bush.
Oh, some of that too.
Okay.
So I don't know, I know
Good show.
it's time for change,
We've moved on.
maybe we need to do a little bit of research in how sound with the water is affected.
Personally, I'd be open to volunteers, as Frank suggested, coming and working with the planning board on updating the ordinances. Absolutely. Norm?
I'm going to try and work with Ralph on this. There's only one problem I see with the application. The 100 feet. The handicap room at the motel is part of the same building he's in. It says, what's the distance to the nearest residence, dwelling, or lodging unit? That building's not 100 feet long.
Okay,
Not that it makes any difference.
so are you saying that there's a hotel room in the restaurant building?
Yes, on the other end of it.
Okay, all right, so the 100 feet to the nearest residence is
A little short, a little long.
a bit of a misnomer.
Yes.
But I'm not sure that really makes a difference under our ordinances, does it, Bill?
No,
It's not really going to
no,
make a
it
difference.
doesn't. I mean, Red Cup has apartments directly upstairs
Yeah,
in the same
and
building.
other hotels have rooms all in the same building.
Yeah.
Kim?
Yeah, they all have them. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got bars at Fisherman's Wharf with music
Right.
down below. and
That's what
rooms
we're
up above,
saying.
and-
Yeah.
I mean, so what difference does the motel you? As long as the people that he's renting
Yeah.
from is
Yeah.
agreeable.
Okay. So the point of information here is just a little inaccurate, but I don't think it's a,
I didn't know it was a room.
He's so new, he didn't know. Okay. Any other comments? One last time, going,
Yeah,
Tom?
Tom Perkins, I'm actually here on behalf of my brother Jim at 43 Atlantic. I know there was a letter delivered, and I hope all 5 of you have had a chance to read it before voting. I think after listening to this, and this is not anti-Ralph, it's a new business, I know he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do, but there seem to be a lot of latitudes given, not knowing exactly what he wants to do. Can I ask what the mechanism is that if what he's doing isn't working, what the neighbors do to help change it, and how quickly that can be done?
As far as I'm concerned, it's, we're calling the police and we're having the town do their codes enforcement, which is the municipality's job. But more importantly, I think that, at least it's my personal opinion, that Ralph is somebody that you can go and call him up or knock on his door and say, hey, we need to talk about this. Now, I'm not saying he's going to necessarily, that you're going to necessarily agree to something, but I think that I would encourage anybody who has a complaint, if you think it isn't working, to do that. We want everybody to be a good neighbor, and part of being a good neighbor is to be a good communicator. So,
Tom, can you illuminate, I would like to know the answer. I would assume that the police would issue a citation and there'd be some sort of monetary
Well, I mean,
fine
you're
with
hitting
the
on the head. You have to
citation,
enforce
yeah.
the ordinances.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the call would be to the police department. And then
Yeah.
after that, if it escalates up, it goes to the selectmen.
The specifics are, if he has more than a duo, if he operates past 10 o'clock, if he is louder than permitted by our ordinances, then he can be issued a summons and a fine, and if that continues, then the license can be pulled.
Okay.
okay. One last comment.
Yeah, Kathy Fish,
Hi, Kathy.
68 Atlantic Avenue, right more or less across the street from the business. And people that I don't even know have been coming up to me. They see me in my chair and they can't wait for Ralph to open. I mean, it's going to be great for the east side of the harbor. You know, he has wonderful food, there's entertainment. I know it's just going to be guitar playing, but it's going to be a great asset for our town. It really is.
Thank you.
It's nice to end on an up note. so.
Absolutely. Okay. So, all in favor of granting Cod's Head Fish a special amusement permit under the conditions that have been so noted?
With Tricia abstaining.
With Tricia abstaining, yes. All in favor? Okay, granted. All right, so, sorry, on to old business now.
Thank you all for coming and for your comments. It really does help. I know sometimes it seems like it's a hard road, but it's worthwhile to do this.
We did all the old business. You said Daniel Benson here and the investment policy.
And do all of the pay on the investment policy. We can do it tonight. I forgot.
Yeah. I think there are some people getting a special town meeting, so I don't think our discussion is finished.
Now, there's
Okay. Can you folks move your conversations out into the hallway, because we still have more business to discuss?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It says chapter 128.
Don't be sorry. Thank you.
Did you just give me the wrong one, or is this wrong?
That's wrong.
Okay.
This is wrong.
So, old business, investment policy, do we want to discuss that tonight, or do we need more time to review it and put it on the next agenda? Tom had made some minor changes and sent them out, that's what I remember.
I was okay with it. I did have one question, and that's under the funds that are included but not limited to capital project funds, trust and agency funds, endowment and trust, CDBG funds. What are we calling the general fund monies that we have in surplus of the reserve?
Nothing, just the general funds.
So, but that's the primary pot that we're going to be investing. So
Right.
shouldn't that be listed under this list?
You could, sure.
That would make
If-
sense.
if
Yeah,
you-
yeah.
When we put this together, we were talking about only investing reserve funds, so that's why it's not on here. But yeah, if you want to add that to it, that's fine.
Well, it may as well clarify things.
Yeah.
Have it clear from the get-go.
Sure.
So what do we want to call that?
Just put general reserve, general funds.
General funds?
Yeah, sure.
So to be clear, what is it that we're not investing?
Operating funds.
Right.
Well, those are pretty much the same thing. The general fund is your operating funds. There's not separate accounts. You have an undesignated fund, which is a certain amount of dollars of your general funds, and then the rest of your general funds are operating expenses. So there really is no distinction, except you don't want to use that 8% that's the undesignated fund.
Right, right. But nonetheless, each year at town meeting, we commit to expend X dollars, and we have more than X dollars available to us. And it's the more than X dollars that I think we should be able to consider investing. And
It's up to you, yeah.
I just want the right name to call that.
I would use general funds.
Okay.
That covers everything.
Would it be clearer to say general funds but not operating funds?
General funds, but not undesignated fund balance.
But not undesignated fund balance?
Right. Because that you have to keep for emergencies.
Well, yes, clearly.
Right.
So maybe it might be more appropriate under the scope to say these funds may include but are not limited to.
Well, we do say that.
Yeah.
It doesn't say may, it just says include but not limited to, because you could say that suggests it's
gotcha.
inclusive.
Gotcha.
You could say may, sure.
And I think the major issue is as long as we have sufficient liquidity, then I think your point, Bill, is appropriate, because if we have daily liquidity, then we can have enough cash flow if the
Right.
circumstances warrant. But I think you're right, that's the bulk of the money that we would like to try and make a return on, so, yeah.
Okay, can make those changes.
Yeah, and I think I'm not so sure that it would be so awful to have your emergency money invested that way, because I would think that where we want to invest it, we're still going to be able to get the money out with, at any point in time. It's not like it's going to be invested and you can't get it out for a month or 2 or 3.
Right.
It's phone call.
I mean, as the tax collector, treasurer, town manager, I would never recommend investing the undesignated fund balance. Any
No,
risk whatsoever. I wouldn't even consider recommending that.
Well,
You don't need
I'm
to
just-
anyway. I mean, you
Yeah,
have so many other
I-
options.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But the point is that whatever investment administrator we select, we want to make sure that we're comfortable that we can get the money out.
Right, the liquidity
Yeah.
is there.
Right.
Liquidity is there, so it's
Yeah.
not going to be a
Right.
liquidity issue.
Correct.
And our request for proposal has that specifically in it,
Yeah.
that, we have, 24-hour turnaround or something as far as getting money out. So that
Yeah.
will be a given.
So,
Actually, our objectives, our liquidity does not say anything about daily, daily access. It just says sufficiently liquid, but that's really open to interpretation. I'd like to have the liquidity specified as liquidity that is a 24-hour access.
Are you talking this guidelines, or are you talking the RFP for?
I'm talking this.
Okay. you're
Right
talking
here
this.
in
So
the
where do you want to add
objectives.
that?
In the liquidity.
Okay.
Shall be sufficiently liquid, and you can put in parentheses, daily liquidity.
Okay.
That means you can draw it down every day if you need to. Because there are funds that are 90 days, 30 days, 60 days advance, and some that are
Right.
locked in for a year.
yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we want that in case of some real, true emergency, God forbid it ever happens.
Mhm.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
Otherwise,
Other than that?
I'm okay with this as amended. I'm happy to move approval of it as amended.
Second.
So I could have you sign the signature page and just make those changes on the
Okay.
first page. Okay.
Tricia, this is new to you. Are you
Yes.
comfortable or have questions?
No, I'm just listening to everything
Okay.
as it's going, because like I said, that is completely new to me. So I don't know.
All right, 'cause this is something we worked on over the past couple of months.
Right,
Just
right.
trying to figure out ways to invest the town's money in
So we don't
in
have
a
all this money
manner-
sitting around.
Right, in a manner that's more advantageous to the town than a checking account, basically.
I mean, I understand
So,
the point of it. I just, when you were talking about emergency funds and whatnot, and making sure you can easily have access in the case of emergency, and made me a little nervous for a second there, just because I'm thinking to myself, well, in the case of an emergency, there...
Yeah, we're required by law to have 8% funds available for emergencies.
Okay.
And we actually have more than that, at least we have the last few years, because
So anything past that
still do, yeah.
anything past that 8% is what you're referring to, that would be going in?
that's certainly, I would personally be
To
very
invest.
comfortable with investing that,
That'd be
because it would
preferable.
meet our code-required emergency fund, and then we could get a better return on everything beyond
Yeah,
that.
no, I definitely agree with the
Yeah.
investing part, just
Yeah.
making sure that that's...
Prudent. Exactly. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, wow, investment policy is approved.
All right.
We've been doing a lot of business lately.
Next will be the request for proposal.
That's right.
Right.
Great, okay. New business, election of chairman and vice chairman. Do I hear a motion?
I nominate Denise for chairman.
And I'll second that.
Can we just nominate the existing chairman and vice chairman?
By acclamation?
You may.
Then you'll have to amend your second.
We're getting good at amending. Will you amend your second?
I will, yes.
Okay. Any other nominations? All in favor of the amended motion? All right, I guess I'll go along with it.
There you go.
Since
Under
I think I
duress.
don't have any choice.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And now we're going to talk about special town meeting, May 26th, or a special town meeting that we need. So, in order to tee this up, the selectmen met, was it only last week, I think, with the Booth Bay Region Ambulance Service to discuss the sum of $22,842, which really had been appropriated in the 13-14 fiscal year, which was the last fiscal year, not the current fiscal year. And basically, because of some administrative sloppiness, the Booth Bay Region Ambulance Service did not bill the town for that amount. So Tom suggested that, because this issue came up after the budget
The warrant had.
After the warrant had been posted and
meeting,
everything.
and the warrant had been placed, and so it was too late to discuss this at the town meeting. Tom suggested that we have a special town meeting to vote to raise and appropriate $22,842 to pay Booth Bay Region Ambulance for that sum of money, which actually originally had been approved for the 13-14 fiscal year. So that is the major issue for the town meeting. So.
And then there's the good news, the secondary
Well,
issue.
there is good news here too. Good news is that the town has been given, or will be given, a boat that can be used for the harbor master boat by a resident. And that means that we will not need to maintain an existing harbor master boat reserve fund, or at least not the same amount of money in the reserve fund as we have, because we won't need to buy an expensive new boat, which we have been planning on doing at some point in the future. So that's another possible warrant article to put towards town residents at a special town meeting that we would most likely have maybe an hour before a selectmen's meeting. So that tees things up. How do you all feel? What would you like to do?
A, we should have the town meeting and get the ambulance funded.
So do you need a motion, I think?
Well, okay. Eventually
Yeah,
we do.
eventually we do.
But I have some other discussion points.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I have many.
So maybe
Yeah.
we discuss first
So,
and then
I mean, we can-
work them
we
into
can
the
do that.
motion.
Yeah,
We
so that we don't have to amend the
We don't
motion.
really-
So many
So,
times.
you know, what, I think, do we want to have a town meeting, a special town meeting for this, the main issue, which is the Blue Bay Region ambulance? Then it's, when do we, if we do, when do we have it? And then number 3, do we need to have a discussion on this harbor master, or boat thing? Now or later or whatever.
All right,
So I'm hearing.
A, I think we should
Yes,
have the
A.
meeting. I'm not so sure, I think the harbor master fund reassignment has to be there. Tell me more about why it's important to do that sooner rather than at a regular town meeting where it would get more participation and more press.
You could do that next year. Yeah, that's fine. I just put it on there so that you.
I understand the convenience of it, but part of me says, the ambulance thing is clear, it's a single issue.
Yeah.
It might be a little cleaner just to have the special town meeting about that, since its other is not that critical in timeline. We need to do it eventually, absolutely.
No, that's fine. If you want to postpone that for another year, that's
That would
fine.
be my inclination, but I don't feel horribly strongly about it.
I just thought that with us talking about investment policies and things like
Yeah.
that before next year, no thanks. I would not really want to, you know, I wouldn't really want to delay it a year. I mean, you could decide to pay down the debt, you could decide to invest it.
Yeah.
So if we don't address it, it
Again,
ties our
I don't
hands.
feel horribly strongly, it just would be my inclination.
And it doesn't bind you to do anything, just gives you the opportunity if you wanted to.
Right.
So,
Okay, Wendy.
I attended the meeting with the ambulance. I know, Tom, you were trying to figure out sort of a strategy so we could meet this request. I've thought a lot about this, and I am not in favor of this warrant. And I'm not in favor for several reasons. One of them being that this was the first year I went through the entire budget process. We met from January through the end of March, and the greatest amount of time that we spent in the budget discussion of any single item was the ambulance. We looked at 4 or 5 different budgets, each of them different from the last one. We talked about how their business management is poor and that they need to have better business management. This is an item that's from the previous year. That was January, to December of 2013?
No,
14.
I'm sorry, 2014.
Well, the fiscal year is actually
Fiscal.
July 1st to June 30th.
Fiscal 14.
All right. And yet, we had several months after that, and then this came up after we had finished the budget deliberations, and now we have to decide what to do and have a special warrant. And I'm frankly concerned about precedent also that this sets, that, you know, I'm sorry you missed the budget time, and it's okay, don't worry, we can have a special town meeting and vote on a warrant, and we have to approve it. But, I mean, I'm very sensitive to doing things that then set precedent. I know Mary Lee Brown stood up at the town budget meeting, wanted to know why we didn't fund the band. And the band, we said, well, they didn't get the budget allocation in, and well, Mary Lee Brown could say, why not come forward and have a special warrant so we can fund the band? And I understand the reason the ambulance service feels this is necessary. But I really feel the ambulance service has had ample opportunity over 3 months of discussion. This is from the previous fiscal year, that this could have been presented along with their budget to the town. We had town meeting, that was the only item at town meeting that was even up for discussion between the budget committee and the selectmen. And in truth, I was one of the proponents pushing the higher budget figure during the budget meetings to give the ambulance. But I feel that this needs to be part of their bona fide budget process. And I just cannot support asking the voters to come in and vote on a warrant to do this. It frankly makes me wonder why we ask the budget committee and the selectmen to go over the budget line by line, argue sometimes about it, reach consensus about it, and then, oh, by the way, after all that work, oh, we missed this. So come back and give me a warrant. I know that puts them in a pickle for their reserve fund. I think there are other things that they can do to enhance their reserve fund. I think their amortization schedule to replace their ambulances is very ambitious in terms of replacing it every 18 months. I think that there's some other data that suggests that is a very quick amortization schedule. And I think there are other ways to make up for this loss of appropriation for their capital reserve fund. So I'm very supportive of the ambulance service. I think they provide a great service to the town. I think this rewards, frankly, what we have talked about, which is poor financial management, and I think, frankly, they need to do better to the voters of Booth Bay Harbor to get their financial management house in order, so we're not asked to do things like this. So I will not be supporting this. So,
If I remember correctly, it was brought up at that meeting, I don't know if it was you, Bill, or if it was Robbie Ham, that this was actually in their 2013 budget, which we did approve paying. But they didn't bill us for that full amount, and we allocated some of that leftover money to offset the property tax commitment the next year. So it was actually approved by us to do it in good faith.
Yeah, I was just going to make that point. I agree with everything that you said, Mary. I think there are a lot of good points, but I think reasons to not do it would be trying to be instructive to them. And for me, the tipping balance is that the town did vote to provide them this money. And yes, they failed to invoice it, and yes, they have really poor financial management. But if we had not taken the somewhat unusual step of reallocating the excess funds in that account, we in fact could have just paid it.
Sure.
But and I'm the one who pushed that to take the money they said they weren't going to use and reallocate it to next year's funding. But the bottom line, again, for me, I agree with everything you said, but the bottom line for me is that the town did vote to appropriate the ambulance this money, and therefore I think it's worth to complete that action.
I will also support having another meeting to do this, to act on this. And Wendy, I just want to maybe clarify one thing that you said. The plan is to replace an ambulance every 7 years. And
they said
because
18 months.
Well, no, that's right. And because there are 4, and we will work on the 4, but because there are 4, it means replacing one. One comes up for replacement every 18 months is how that works.
Brad, I think you have some
Right.
public.
Okay. Helen?
which is 6 years.
I have to agree with Bill on this. That was allocated for the ambulance. More or less, that is theirs, and it was voted on. And I appreciate your views on it, and Wendy's views. And, but it would be very sad if you didn't vote to give it this particular thing. Setting precedents, you know, what was done previously at the town meeting and the money between the seniors and the fire thing and all this. To me, that's on a different scale. The ambulance is something that is very important to all of us. And we fight every year, and I fight every year for police, fire, and ambulance. And these three things are very major to this town. And I believe that you should vote yes and give them what is due. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mary Neal, Westwood Bay Garden. I've been on the budget committee for 7 years. Tom, I have a question, a couple of questions. I know that this past year, I'm not aware that we have had a special meeting. And since I've been on the, do we have any special meetings this past year besides our town meeting?
You mean special town meetings?
Yeah.
This past year? No, it was previous years.
Okay. And when was the last time we had a special town meeting regarding a budget item?
I think it was 2007, 2008,
Okay.
when all of the unclassified organizations were not funded. We had to meet again.
All right, so we've had that, and so it's been, since you said 2007, so it's been 8 years since we've done that. So indeed, this is precedent. This is looking at this to do that whenever we've gone over this repeatedly. Being the volunteer that Denise has asked people to please volunteer and get their time so that they look over these things. It takes time to do the research, the looking, the thinking and asking. Yes, this money was allocated, but we didn't request to take this money back for them. We didn't withhold it from them. We were told by them that they didn't need it. We were advised by them that they didn't need it. This wasn't a money that was approved that we withheld from them. It was money that they said that they didn't need. We were following their business lead. We had bent over backwards repeatedly to give the ambulance everything that they have asked for and to relook at budgets and everything. And you ask people to please follow the policies, the ordinances, the codes. Frank Fawcett talked about the fact that, you know, we make decisions and the people have to live with those decisions earlier. But clearly, that's, if you vote for this, to have a special town meeting for this, we're not doing that. And you're certainly not showing any, you know, time that is given in order by the volunteers that sit and put this together on the budget committee. Clearly, just as soon as it doesn't come out the way people want it, instead of looking at extending their hours of business, what does a nonprofit do? They extend their line of credit, they go and get a loan from the bank. If this is an emergency amount of money, they look in their own budget. They don't come and look at the taxpayers for additional monetary support at that time until we get into a new budget. So I think this is incredible. The one thing about no town meetings in '07, I do think that that is a different thing than is here because time was spent. And so I think that you are setting a precedent that allows those that have the poorest business management and are not compliant with getting their things in on time, and that they can just come anytime and ask for a special town meeting. And I think that's not a good way to do this.
Okay, yes, Helen, one last quick comment.
I'd like to
please.
just say, it seems to be people more interested in their time. Their time. You know, I'm thinking about the ambulance service at all. you're thinking of all the time you spent. And yes, they've spent a good amount of time. But to down the ambulance service because they've had problems, to down them because they had a mixture of financial issues, is very wrong. Everybody has financial issues, not just them. But when you're saying your time, that irritates me. Because time is spent for that ambulance every single day, every single night. They have their time, their personal time, sometimes, and they're on call, or they're there for us. Now, I'm not going to stand by and see just because the budget committee spent a lot of time, but they're downing them all. You don't do this to your ambulance service that you have in town. You just don't do that. It'd be like me saying, I'm going to down Bill or Denise, you know, for various things. I'm passionate about this, and Bill knows this, and I think maybe Tom does. You know, the rest you might not know is how passionate I get about this.
I have an idea.
I know you do.
I think we do.
But the point is, I got upset with just time and energy. Everybody spends time and energy on things. I spend time doing other things these days. I'm not involved actually with the ambulance service, but I'm an advocate for them, and I'll still be there till my dying day. But it does frustrate me to have people just sit here and down because they have had problems. They're problems they're trying to fix. They're trying to get better at it. They had some bad experiences, and we all have bad experiences. I kind of chuckled when everybody said, I'll tell you, about people coming across the footbridge and hollering. Well, Bill could remember, but I don't know if Tom does or anybody else. But I had a significant other that was one of those people. So I sort of had a chuckle at that because he did. That's the only time I knew he was on his way home. But the point is, you just can't sit here and down the ambulance service because they've had some issues and they haven't had the right personnel maybe and financial, but you've got to give them credit where credit is due. They're trying to get their thing back on track. And for many years, it was on track. And just because they had a year or two, you know, in the wrong mindset here, they should not be downed. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Helen. Okay, Mary, it's
Right. Like, I would just like to.
getting late here. So
I would like
quickly.
to say I am not downing our ambulance service, and I take, I am sorry that you thought that I was down. To request that someone meets the same things that other people meet is not to down them. And I mean, my time is certainly however I choose to spend my time, but other people do that same thing. And the ambulance is paid. There's not anyone on that service that's not paid. Over $500,000, $535,000 goes to the salaries. So it's not that they're not paid.
I volunteered. All my years was
job
volunteer.
on the budget committee, they're not volunteer, they're paid now. And my job is to look after the people that all have financial issues, and that's our taxpayers, and not to be paying more for something than they should. And that is the only reason that I have spent that time, to make sure that they're getting the right service for a fair price.
Denise, can I
Okay,
make
I
just one
think,
comment?
yes.
Just to remind everybody, the other two towns did pay their percentage of this account. I think it would send much more of a bad precedent to not have Booth Bay Harbor pay their share of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your opinion, and I think everybody's entitled to an opinion. I think I have lost track of, I don't think we have an amendment
We do
on
not
the
have-
floor.
we don't
We're
have a
just kind of
motion. We don't have a
talking about
motion.
the motion, we were just talking about the issue. there was also a discussion about maybe postponing the harbor master boat reserve issue to another time or to next year. What are people's
Well,
thoughts
I
there?
certainly think we should decouple that from this. So-
Okay. I think that that's,
Is there a reason? Because they're two separate issues, so people can vote
Right.
yes or no on either one.
I tell you what my issue is about the Article, the proposed Article 3. I'm flattered that you wrote the article or suggesting that that the town authorize municipal officers to reallocate the reserve fund under such terms and conditions that they deem advisable, but I think that's like really broad.
Actually, the 17 warrant articles
Yeah,
to
it's
start
already
off,
there.
there are things in there that have that exact wording, but it has to do with municipal property. Yeah.
Right,
You could
I
liquidate.
actually went through and read that.
You can liquidate
prior to-
municipal property as you deem advisable, so I use the same
If we
verbiage.
decided that the money was property, we could do it
Yeah.
under the existing thing, but I think, I think it's, after reading that, I felt it was appropriate to have a separate article. I just don't see the urgency about it. And again, I don't feel very strongly about it. I just think it'd be a little cleaner to have this a single issue.
So wait till next budget time and figure out how
Yeah,
to use the money.
yeah.
That's fine with me. If you want me to just cross that one out, that's fine.
Yeah, well, we haven't voted on any of this. Wendy, do you have any feelings about Article 3?
I agree. I think it's cleaner just to make this a single issue.
Okay.
Actually, I kind of think it should be with it. I know, I'm new, so please don't.
Go for it.
But the reason why is I think it's kind of like having, I know this is gonna sound really strange, but having one positive thing out of it, because the other one is a very touchy subject, and people really have certain ways that they're gonna sway one way or the other, and I just think maybe a positive light or spin added to it, and actually putting them together. I know that sounds crazy, but I kind of like the idea of them being together. That's it.
Well, I'm looking for, I guess I'm looking for a motion as to whether we should have a special town meeting or it should be on the warrant.
Let's break this down. I move we should have a special town meeting to address at least the ambulance issue.
Okay?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of a special town meeting to address the ambulance?
At
Okay.
least.
All right.
At least.
At least.
And I'm opposed.
Okay, so 4-1, motion carries. Now, let's talk about the time and date of the special town meeting. I think it's most convenient to have it right before Selectmen's meeting. So that would be, the next one's Tuesday, May 26th, and then it would be, the alternative would be the second Monday in June, which is
Eighth.
Okay.
Wendy had indicated at some point that she thought a little longer would be better, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Feels like 2 weeks is a little short, a little rushed, and just thought I'd go out there and soak in the community a little while.
So June 8th will be about 4 weeks from
So
tonight.
I would lean towards June 8th. I would
Okay,
suggest
is that
June
good with people? Does that seem long enough?
Don't look at me, I'm not
You don't want
supporting
to-
the public meeting, so
Yeah.
you all make your own
Okay.
decision, so.
8th. Tom, I know that's a little longer than you wanted, but is it still
It's
workable?
still-
As long as it's in this fiscal year, that's all I care about, as long as it's before July 1st.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, but I do agree, I think giving the town a little bit more time to get the word out, so that if they don't read the register this week, they might read it, learn about it in the next issue, so.
Okay, let's do it June 8th.
Yep.
All right. So we'll have I don't even know when we need this, a motion to have the special town meeting June 8th at 6 o'clock.
Second.
All right, great, all in favor? Great, now, Tricia, do you want to move that we have Article 3 on the agenda to see if the town will vote to authorize municipal officers to reallocate the existing harbor master boat reserve fund
Yes.
account. Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Do we want to add Article 3 to this special town meeting? Any more discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Okay.
All right, okay, so, motion.
And are you
And all
opposed?
opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm abstaining since I don't support the town meeting.
The whole town
so,
meeting.
yeah.
So, 3 to 1, and to 1,
One,
Dawn.
one.
Do you want to pass?
Okay. Great. Thank you for clarifying that comment, both of you, appreciate it. Okay, let's see, next thing on the agenda is public forum. I think we've had an awful lot of public forum tonight, but we'll have a very brief one.
I would just like to say that it's been my pleasure to be on the budget committee. However, though I respect your right to run the fiscal management of the town, however you devise and plan whenever things don't need the input and the consideration of the budget committee, then it really doesn't behoove me to spend my time to do that. So I respectfully resign from the budget committee and would like to suggest that maybe Ms. Farnham or Mary Lee Brown, or if there are many people in town may want to be on the budget committee. But I'm happy to do whatever I need to do, Tom, so you can let Michelle know that I've resigned.
All right.
Okay. Well, I thank you for all the years that you did serve and all the research and leadership that you showed on the budget committee. So I'm sorry for your resignation, but I understand how you feel. Other public forum comments?
I was just kidding.
Okay. I don't think we have a need for executive session tonight, unless someone wants to correct me on that. No? So I'll move for a motion on the warrants.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the warrants upon review? Okay. Great. And I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that also.
Great. All in favor? Okay, we're adjourned.
First one?